Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Thursday edition of Video Clips, which is brought to you by Wellness Forum Health, the Wellness Forum Institute, and Make Americans Free Again. We're taking applications to start either Food Over Medicine clubs or a Make Americans Free Again tribe, or both. They're quite compatible with one another. This is our annual membership drive, and we have a super special offer where for every dollar you invest in membership dues, you get an equal amount in a gift certificate that you can apply to a whole lot of different programs. So if you're interested in that, let me know. And an annual pass membership would get you, I mean, you can't believe you get $1,000 gift certificate. You get to take the cancer course for free, the autoimmune course we're going to be offering for free. So anyway, we have a lot of great ways that we can help you get even more than double your money if you're interested. So send me an email at pampopper@msn.com if you want to discuss. And then I'll just tell you a little bit about the Cancer Summit. It's Friday and Saturday, March 21st and 22nd. Lots of guest speakers. You will hear from survivors and their families and their stories. You're going to hear from alternative providers. You're going to learn about alternative treatments and how to evaluate conventional treatment, how to use conventional and alternative treatments together, and etc. You can't miss it. It's going to be amazing. I'm so looking forward to this. And some of my very favorite people are going to talk about everything from trauma and cancer to using keto diets for advanced cancer to water fasting and etc. So lots of great stuff coming up at Wellness Forum. It's kind of exciting to be in this business right now with all the new stuff there is to learn and to show you. All right, so let's start with something fun, and then we'll get to serious news. Elon Musk and the new administration have canceled plans to build an exhibit in honor of Anthony Fauci at the National Museum of Health and Medicine in Maryland. The National Institutes of Health had planned to spend, believe it or not, $160,000 to build this by July of this year. Not going to happen. I mean, the thought of anything honoring this little criminal is pretty disgusting. So, this is just does your heart well. If Elon does nothing else, getting rid of this is a wonderful thing. Now, I wish everything else I was going to talk to you about today could be so cheery, but unfortunately, the deep state is, well, deep, and there are a lot of people gone. Francis Collins and Fauci are a couple of those people, but there are layers upon layers upon layers of these kinds of people populating public health. And it's going to take a long time to eliminate all of them and all of the nefarious activity, if it can even be done at all. At the direction of Congress, which passed the 2023 Consolidated Appropriations Act, the Centers for Disease Control, the USDA, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, and the Department of the Interior developed a framework for addressing zoonotic diseases and advancing public health, domestic animal health, and wildlife and environmental health. Sounds strangely like some of the misbehavior could happen that happened with COVID. Well, the name of this program is One Health, and the rationale for the partnership is that these agencies have historically addressed One Health related issues and worked to help control zoonotic diseases that affect people and animals. So One Health is charged with, and these three agencies, coordinating collaboration across the United States government's agencies for the next 5 years with a common vision and mission and goals concerning preparation for and management of diseases that spread from animals to humans so that in the future we can be better prepared for the next potential threat. And they're working on the next potential threat, as I think I will convince you here. This situation is a great example of how deep the problem is and why it can't just be dealt with a magic wand from the White House. Congress passes appropriations bills, often to just keep the government operating, and buried inside these huge bills are initiatives like One Health or funding for them. I looked into One Health, by the way, and I found that this was being discussed in publications like The Lancet even before the appropriations bill was passed. And there's more to this than just being prepared for the next fake pandemic. The Lancet editorial states that we should all be as concerned about the welfare of non-human animals and the environment as we are about humans. In its truest sense, One Health is a call for ecological, not merely health equity. Now, I love animals a lot. I think all of you know that, but as David Bell from the Brownstone Institute points out, we can't be equally concerned about bugs as we are about mom and rats as we are about our brother, right? There are some other major problems with this. I looked at the CDC's website since they're involved in this, and it includes this gem. I'm just going to read it to you. Recognizing the importance of international action, the US government works to advance One Health globally. That term globally is never good news, by the way. In partnership with, and listen to this list, the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, the United Nations Environment Program, the World Health Organization, and the World Organization for Animal Health, and with other international partners. Although this is meant to guide coordinated federal activities in the United States, similar efforts are underway globally. Now, you're probably thinking Trump withdrew US support for and membership in the World Health Organization right after he took office. I'm sorry, but this posting I just read you, it is dated February 14th, 2025, just a couple weeks ago, and several weeks after Trump issued his order. And so this goes to how all this stuff gallops along, even regardless of what the White House does. One Health provides this as one of the reasons it should be supported. Support One Health collaboration to identify, assess, and address the effects of environmental and social determinants of health, including climate change and environmental justice on priority endemic, emerging, and re-emerging zoonotic diseases and other priority One Health issues. First, clearly, public health is continuing to operate on its own, appearing to think that it doesn't have to worry about what the president does. And in some ways, they have good reason to believe that. The 2023 appropriations bill provides cover for this. I read it. Public health and its various tentacles appear to be set on another crisis, and bird flu looks like it could be that. Will we see a replay of the COVID thing? I don't think so, because the criminals know they couldn't get away with it. What they can do, and they are doing, is killing tens of millions of birds and other animals, which results in higher food prices and could result in either the bankruptcy or closure of some farms or make those farms more dependent on the federal government. Does Trump know about it? Doubtful. Can he do anything about it? Not likely, since Congress has authorized funds for it, along with a whole lot of other goodies for public health, as I reported before. But even if Trump were to do something about it via executive order, the problem is it would be super easy for the next president to change it, just like Biden did with vaccine mandates and masks within just a few hours of taking office. You know, executive orders are wonderful because it's like immediate gratification. Something got done today. But the problem is it's not permanent. And so sooner or later, you have to deal with this creepy, crawly, deep, layers and layers deep crap. And that's just what it is. So this brings me to the next part of the news, which is the USDA reports that bird flu has been detected in rats for the first time, along with a harbor seal in Massachusetts, a fox in North Dakota, a bobcat in Washington state, and a domestic cat in Oregon. The USDA has already arranged for several types of workers to be exempt from job cuts that Elon Musk has made in order to deal with this looming crisis, right? The USDA also reports that as of November 2024, costs associated with bird flu have exceeded $1.4 billion, a lot of that money given to farmers after they killed their animals. So we're already seeing that farmers are some going out of business and some are going to be dependent more on the government. In addition to costing a lot of money, USDA reports that culling birds has been an ineffective strategy for stopping the spread of the flu, but we're just continuing to do it. Sound familiar? It was like COVID. What we're doing doesn't work, but we're just going to buckle down and do more of it. Of course, the reason why this is being done, in addition to preventing spread among animals, is to prevent spread among humans. But according to an article in the New England Journal of Medicine, which reported outcomes for several dozen patients, the patients had often, some of them had been exposed to animals, some of them had not. But the bottom line was that there was very little illness. I mean, some of the people just had mild symptoms. And so remember, again, what COVID was all about. To be clear, a lot of people died from COVID, but most people didn't. And yet we were all being treated as if we had the same risk of death as older people in nursing homes. So anyway, news like that makes it difficult to declare an emergency. So CDC reports via a news study that, quote, bird flu has silently spread from animals to some veterinarians. According to Dr. Gregory Gray, an infectious disease researcher at the University of Texas at Galveston, which is a center, by the way, of gain of function activity, the official tally of confirmed human bird flu infections is likely an undercount. He says, quote, this means that people are being infected, likely due to their occupational exposures and not developing signs of illness and therefore not seeking medical care. Well, why would they seek medical care if they had no sign of illness? I mean, he says it shows that officials can't fully understand bird flu transmission by just tracking people who go to medical clinics with symptoms. So, the only logical thing to do when you're in public health is you've got to go out and hunt for bird flu cases. So, CDC researchers attended a veterinary conference in September of last year here in Columbus, Ohio. They recruited 150 vets from 46 states to fill out a questionnaire and agree to have a blood draw. None said they had had any symptoms of associated with bird flu. But testing found that 3 of these vets had evidence of antibodies to H5N1 infection. All 3 worked with dairy cattle and other animals. None said that they worked with a herd that was known to be infected, but you can see the concern here. Asymptomatic spreaders. Remember the scarf lady talking about that endlessly during COVID. Gray and some of his colleagues did a study last year of 14 dairy farm workers and found 2 or 14% had evidence of past infections. They'd experienced symptoms, but they were never diagnosed because they weren't sick enough to go get medical attention. Another study published last year by CDC checked 115 dairy workers, and the researchers found that 8 of them had evidence in their blood of recent infection. Half recalled feeling slightly ill. So I've reported before that testing has been ramped up. 4 states have declared an emergency. Public health officials and the scarf lady, remember Deborah Birx, are making the media rounds to say we've got to do more testing. And Deborah Birx has told a number of news programs we're starting to make the same mistakes we made with COVID. We made a lot of mistakes with COVID, mostly overblown response to it. Anyway, over 100 million animals have been killed. And the scariest thing, the most destabilizing thing for society is a pandemic, whether it's fake or not. Fauci's gone, but public health is staffed with clones of Fauci. And this type of stuff bubbling up is very, very concerning. And, looking back at the time leading up to COVID, and by the way, that's one of the things my next book is about. It covers a lot of ground, licensure, the history of licensure laws and the history of pandemics in our country, fake pandemics declared by CDC. But the point is, this has been going on for a long time. And if you look at it, like the whole history of it, it seems like the COVID thing came out of nowhere, but it didn't. And then it seems to be waning, but it's really not, because what's happened over the years is fake pandemic after ridiculous response to ridiculous issues. And they're not above doing it again. And all the signs are that they're working toward it. So I think this is not a good time to sit back and say, oh, that can't happen. Everything will be fine. Trump's president and he and Elon will keep bad things from happening. USDA already called back people they got rid of, saying, we need these people here. We've got to have all hands on deck because we've got a bird flu problem. It doesn't sound like that agency's downsizing. It sounds like it's ramping itself up for response. So I don't mean to be the Debbie Downer, but I also don't want to put my head in the sand. And I don't think that any of us should be putting our head in the sand thinking that it's just all swell. It's not. And the other thing I'll say too is that the executive branch has sweeping powers, and we're watching some of that happen right now, but it doesn't absolve citizens of their responsibility. I still have to do my part. I can't rely on a single human being in Washington to make my life swell and to protect me against government overreach, because we're all responsible for doing that. So anyway, all this to say, start a group, invite people to your group if you have one, send money. One of the big advantages we have right now is we're organized, and we also have an amazing law firm ready, our virtual law firm, ready to file lawsuits at the first sign that something is happening. We won't have to wait 6 or 7 months like we did when the COVID things started to get organized. So this can be different if it happens. And I think it is happening. I shouldn't even say if it happens, it is happening. And they're marching forward with their plans to turn this into something. And how far they get with it, it's about 20% dependent on Trump and Elon Musk. And it's about 80% dependent upon us and how the population responds. So let's be ready to respond in the best way for us, right? Okay, I hope that gives you some good perspective. Thank you to all of you who support our efforts. You have no idea how much this is appreciated. We thank you so much when you buy things from Wellness Forum. You're also supporting our efforts because we're kind of, running this organization without any reimbursement for it. And thank you for operating your groups. Thank you for attending groups. And I'll give a second thank you for the money to tell you how important that is to us. But anyway, as usual, pass this on to anybody who you think would enjoy watching it. And I will be back to you next week with more news. Thanks so much for watching.